The first human died before the galaxy even realized we were real. His blood froze into red crystals in the vacuum of Hangar 9, drifting past alien banners that had never been meant for us. I remember staring at that impossible sight and thinking the same thought everyone else was thinking, even if none of us dared say it aloud. Humans weren't supposed to exist. That was a lie the galaxy had believed for 3,000 years, and it was about to be shattered. But that was only the beginning. They called the station Cartal Nexus, a living citadel grown from biometal and orbiting a dying blue star. To the coalition of elder species, it was sacred ground. To us, it was a last stand we had never been invited to. My name is Captain Elias Rourke, United Earth Marine Corps. Or at least, that's what my patch said. In coalition records, if we appeared at all, we were footnotes, ghost stories, myths told to frighten young diplomats, hairless bipeds from a dead world, violent, unstable, extinct, standing in that hangar, rifle shaking in my hands. I understood how badly they'd miscalculated, because Extinction teaches you things peace never will, and none of them were prepared for what humanity had learned. The coalition was losing the war. That truth hung in the air heavier than the artificial gravity. The Devourers, an ancient machine hybrid species that consumed stars for fuel, had breached the outer defenses. Entire fleets vanished in hours. Worlds went silent mid-transmission. So the coalition did what ancient powers always do when facing annihilation. They searched their forbidden archives. They found us. What they found scared them enough to break a 1,000-year taboo and open a channel to Earth. Or what was left of it. What I saw next changed everything. Earth wasn't the green jewel the old star maps promised. It was scarred, fractured, wrapped in orbital wreckage like a graveyard ring. The Devourers had come for us first, centuries ago, when we were still arguing about borders and gods. We survived by becoming something else. Underground cities, gene-adapted soldiers, artificial ecosystems sealed beneath continents. We burned our skies and hit our oceans just to deny the enemy resources. And when the Devourers finally left, bored of a world that refused to die properly, we stayed hidden. We learned. We watched the stars in silence, waiting. None of the alien delegates on the holo call could meet our eyes, especially not Ambassador Sailor to the Virex Collective, whose species ruled coalition strategy. Her voice had trembled when she spoke. Your species record described you as impossible. I'd smiled then, a thin, tired thing. So did the Devourers. I'd said. None of them laughed. Now here we were, a single human battalion, aboard the most important station in the galaxy, not as honored allies, as a last resort. The Virex looked like living glass mantises, all sharp angles and luminous veins. They moved away from us as we passed, antennae flickering with discomfort. Other species stared openly. Scaled warriors, floating intellects, beings of pure light dimmed by fear. I heard the whispers. They're real. They're monsters. They won't follow coalition law. They were right about one thing. We wouldn't. But that was only the beginning. The Devourers attacked 3 hours after our arrival. No warning. No grand entrance. Space simply folded. Black geometries tore through reality. And ships began dying before alarms could sound. The Nexus shuddered, biometal screaming like a wounded animal. Coalition forces scrambled into defensive patterns they'd practiced for centuries. They failed in minutes. I watched on the command deck as entire alien battalions froze, waiting for orders that came too late. Perfect logic trees collapsed under imperfect chaos. That was when General Hoshino turned to me. "Captain," she said quietly. "Frontline authorization granted." The room went silent. No one in the coalition had ever authorized humans for anything. None of us were prepared for the truth of what that meant. We didn't deploy in shining formations. We dropped. Human shock pods punched through the station's outer hull, sealing behind us as Devourer drones poured in like metal insects. My boots hit the deck hard enough to rattle my teeth. Smoke, screams, plasma fire. "Marines!" I shouted, voice raw. "Move!" We moved, not because it was orderly, but because it was instinct. I saw Corporal Hayes tackle a Devourer construct twice his size, shoving a fusion charge into its core, before grinning at me through cracked visor glass. "Still a miss, sir?" Then he was gone in a white flash. The aliens watching through tactical feeds recoiled. What I saw next changed everything. Humans didn't fight like coalition soldiers. We didn't preserve ourselves. We traded lives for seconds, pain for position, fear for momentum. Where alien units hesitated at the cost-benefit threshold, we crossed it without thinking. The Devourers adapted quickly. They always did. But adaptation takes time, and humans had spent centuries perfecting how to steal it. Corridors filled with wreckage. The Nexus bled atmosphere and light. I lost count of how many times I thought I was dead, and yet we kept pushing. Toward the heart, toward the thing the Coalition had never dared approach. The Devourer core. But that was only the beginning. Halfway through the assault, Salith contacted me directly. Her usually pristine form flickered, fracturing with static. "Captain Rourke," she said, voice tight, "your casualty projections are unacceptable." I laughed, a harsh, broken sound. "Welcome to humanity," I replied. She hesitated, then asked a question that changed the war. "Why you fight like this?" I thought of Earth, of underground skies painted on ceilings, of children who'd never seen real oceans. "Because," I said, "advancing through fire, we already lost our world once." Silence. Then she whispered, "So did we." And suddenly, the war wasn't what I thought it was. The Devourer core wasn't a machine. It was a prison, a vast, chained intelligence older than stars, enslaved and force consumed by long-dead civilizations. The Devourers weren't conquerors. They were victims. The Coalition had known, had buried the truth to preserve stability. That was the midpoint, the moment everything twisted. We weren't saving the galaxy from monsters. We were perpetuating crime. None of us were prepared for that truth. General Hoshino made the call no alien leader ever would. She ordered a ceasefire. Then she ordered us to break the chains. The Coalition screamed. Logic matrices shattered. Fleets hesitated in horror. Freeing the core meant risking everything. It also meant ending the war forever. The Devourers turned on us the moment the chains weakened. The station began to collapse. Gravity failed. I fought my way to the core chamber, blood floating in perfect spheres around me. Salith was there, waiting. "I was wrong about your species," she said softly. "So were we," I replied. Then we did the impossible. The core awoke, not with rage, with grief. Stars flared as the Devourer fleets went still, then drifted away like lost children. The Nexus cracked but held. The war ended in silence. Afterward, the galaxy didn't cheer. They watched us with something new. Fear and awe. Humans didn't ask for territory. We asked for truth. The Coalition changed. Slowly, painfully, Earth emerged from the shadows, not as conquerors, but as witnesses to what survival really costs. As for me, I still see that first human drifting in Hangar 9 sometimes, blood frozen in starlight. The myth that died so reality could begin. Because the galaxy learned something it will never forget. Humans were never myths. We were the warning, and we always arrive when hope is already bleeding out.